And most importantly, we can take some notes in terms of if there's some actions that, just the committee itself can take on behalf of the organization. We can. So welcome, Mia, and we have been looking forward to speaking to you, and, please tell us a little bit about Youth Civic Hub.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for allowing us to present. My name is Mia. I'm the outreach lead for the Youth Civic Hub, and I'm also joined by my colleague Rukma. And so I'll allow her to do a brief introduction, and then we can kind of go into what our mission for the Youth Civic Hub is and how it came about.
Hi all, nice to see you today. My name is Rukma Chaudhry, and I'm currently an outreach fellow at the Youth Civic Hub.
So the Youth Civic Hub launched in April of last year, and it was just really an initiative to make a one-stop shop for youth to find how to navigate civics within New York City. And so we feature things such as the opportunities board that allows youth to look at the different civic opportunities going on in New York City, whether paid or unpaid, different events and of that nature. Also, just making sure they're really increasing their level of civic knowledge, giving them opportunities to increase their civic language with a civic glossary. And so we have different features that really allow them to engage in a very practical way and a personal way that just works for them. We have issue-based guides based on issues that the youth really care about and how that relates to the candidates that the elected officials that represent them or candidates that are running for office. And we want to make sure that we make it a platform for youth, both registered, eligible to vote, and that aren't eligible to vote. What does that look like? Civics beyond the ballot box, kind of just how do we really engage youth of all ages and get them and get them a foundational understanding of civics. So that's really what we aim to do, is just make sure we're increasing civic awareness for youth, making it really super accessible and easy for them through our platform. And so, yeah, I'll just talk no further and just kind of go into the platform itself and share a little bit about what it looks like. And so I can go into my screen here. And if at any point it kind of cuts off or you can't really see anything, just let me know. And yeah, I will I will definitely be aware of that. And so starting off, when you come up, it says your voice, your power, your civic hub, making sure that youth know that this is really a tool for them. We want their feedback, we want their engagement, and we want them to feel comfortable with it and allow them to be able to navigate the space very easily. We have a newsletter to kind of show out opportunities, highlight certain opportunities, events, and things going on within New York City, kind of like a local and federal news of what's going on, just to also keep them engaged civically on that level. And we can start off with our New York City power map. And so this is something that we created to kind of see who drives policy within New York City and who has where the connections at, where's the hierarchy at. And so, for example, if you go on a city council member, you'll see the areas that they represent when they're up for their next reelection and what they have the authority to do, as well as who they work with or who would they be under. And so, for example, a city council member would be under city council. And furthermore, if you go on other certain pages, you'll see kind of what they the things that they've done within their office. And so, for example, we've highlighted certain bills. And so for Governor Kathy Hochul, we would say her stance on these certain issues or bills, based off of the research that we've done. And as well as we have our civic glossary. And so we break down common language used in civic spaces so that youth can become more confident to engage in conversations and not feel unprepared in a sense or feel disengaged because they don't understand. And so we want to make sure that they have the foundational understanding. So for example, when we give them the term, we give them a definition, we tell them what it looks like in New York City as an example, and then we give them a longer in-depth definition so that they really grasp that understanding. We have our opportunities board, which is one of our most popular features. And that just kind of goes into basically like you can vary it based on location. So if you're looking for a remote opportunity, in-person opportunity, it'll give you that. It'll also tell you if it's paid or not, like if it's a paid opportunity, if it's a volunteer opportunity. We do by age range, so 13 to 18, 18 to 22. It's mostly targeted towards high school students, but also very useful for college students as well. And also by interest area that from Youth Brief survey just really care about, such as mental health, education, environment, and the economy. And our New York City election portal, which works both for youth over 18 and under 18 who are registered and can't register to vote. And so if you're under 18, one of our popular features is like the issue-based guides in New York City Power Map, just kind of getting that foundational understanding so that when you are ready to go to the polls, you have that understanding of what you need to be looking at and you feel more prepared about it. And so like we would click on a candidate and it would show you like who they're running against or what their stance on a certain issue is. So, for example, we have the economy here, and these are all different representative stances on the economy. It tells you their party, what they've done, and our sources, of course, and also like who they're running against. So, for example, this past election season, we had like, for example, Donald Trump, and he was running against Kamala Harris, and then it'll go into her scorecard of just like what's her stance on this issue specifically about the economy, also related to issues that we found that you really deeply care about. Yeah, to I'll pass it over to my colleague Rukma to kind of talk more about other features and that we have on our website.
Mia, would you be able to share the outreach efforts slideshow?
Yes.
So yes, at the Youth Civic Hub, our outreach efforts center around engaging young people and promoting civic awareness. You could go to the next one. A vital resource in this mission is our social media toolkit, with Instagram serving as our key platform for our outreach. Our toolkits are specifically designed to create engaging posts that inform young people about civic issues and highlight the resources that we offer. For those who may not subscribe to our newsletter yet, we also recap opportunities directly on our Instagram page and hoping to ensure that everyone has access to the opportunities we share. Speaking of our newsletter, it goes out every Thursday and serves as a comprehensive civic recap of the week. We include important updates, a list of opportunities, and events to keep our young people civically engaged. Going back to the social media side of everything, we understand that engagement goes beyond just sharing information. We prioritize encouraging interaction with our content. To achieve this, we try to incorporate a variety of fun and interactive activities, like we've done before, a true or false game and a voting frequently asked questions session on our Instagram. Looking ahead, we're thrilled to share that we're hosting Monday Night Lives. This series will consist of sessions that all focus on a specific theme and feature guest speakers. Last night, we hosted our first live event, which centered around staying civically engaged beyond elections. Next week, we'll dive into discussions around public safety, featuring insightful conversations with community members, including a community organizer from the Office of the Community Liaison.
Yeah. And that's basically how you can follow us. We have LinkedIn, Instagram, or you can reach out to us through email. But we'd love to just hear like if you have any questions.
Oh, is this who started it and who came up with the funding to run it?
Yeah, so it was initiated through a program called Why Vote, which is similar mission of just like getting out the question of why do youth vote or why are they disengaged to vote, and an entire program within itself that has its own initiatives. And so Why Vote partnered with the New Voters, came together, did the fundraising as far as like, like finding grants and of that nature. And it's all by youth for youth. All of our tech team was built of college students, and all of our like everything from the content to the research to the outreach is by youth and for youth. And so everyone on our team has been between the ages of 16 to 22.
And the website and the social media, who handles all of it? Students?
Yeah, so our outreach team, yes, our outreach team currently, we oversee that. We oversee workshops, social media, partnerships of that nature, and just anything going out. We plan like we have a youth ambassadors program that we're planning out. We oversee just making sure that we have a civic quest coming up in March, and so we're planning for that. and just building partnerships and establishing that. That's what our outreach team works with. So we have built partnerships so far with the Office of Public Advocacy, the Brooklyn Public Library, and just continuing to expand as much as we can.
Amazing.
I ask a question?
Yes.
Martin?
Yeah, are you guys, you two, it's hard to tell how old people are these days. Are you high school students or are you college students? Who are you?
Oh, we're in college. I'm 20.
Yeah, I'm 22.
Well, I congratulate you. It looks like an amazing job that you did. And, you know, I'm always repeatedly very impressed by students in New York City. And sometimes students in New York City don't get enough credit for things like this. And this is just amazing. And I wish it was around when I was your.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
I mean, back then, there was no way to find out any of this information, certainly not in one. So I congratulate you, and I think it's great, and I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
It is fantastic. So we'll make sure to pass this along to all of our high schools here and direct the people who couldn't make it tonight to have a look at the presentation afterwards.
Someone has a question.
Oh, we have a question?
Me.
Oh,
Hi. I was just wondering, is there contact? I work at BMCC and we have a government relations person who does a lot of like civic outreach programs and that sort of thing. Do you all have like a contact that I could connect him with? His name is Doug Israel.
Yes, we have our Gmail, youthcivichub@gmail.com. I can drop it in the chat as well.
what a great idea.
Perfect. Wait,
Thank you.
did you put that in the chat?
Yes.
Can't.
Rosa?
Bravo, first of all, this is amazing. And then secondly, do you do stuff like in person on site? Do you do like voter registration drives and awesome. Okay, I'm gonna reach out to do stuff on Park Site that we're working. That would be awesome. We're like literally across the street from 2,000 high school students and 6,000 university students.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, we would love to do like collaborate on any in-person events. We've worked with the New York City Votes on a tabling event. So getting people out to register to vote. And like we do a lot of in-person workshops or tabling events that you invite us to. We'll love to join.
awesome.
A great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your permission, may I give the committee your personal email?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Well,
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for coming, and we'll be moving this information out to the community. I could just think of so many things, like they could be a Tribeca, Taste of Tribeca. They could be there's so many points of exposure in this neighborhood. There's so many events that we'll be introducing you to a bunch of people.
Thank you. Thank you. We would love that. And we really, truly appreciate your guys' times. And yes, please reach out for like any further like partnerships, events, or anything that you want to further discuss. We'd always appreciate it.
Thank you. Ben.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so the only other thing on our list tonight, we've invited the SCA a couple times to come and talk to us about the Harbor School. It's under construction. Yay! And years later, that is a go. And they were going to come and just show us plans of the school, which they're going to do. But apparently January and February is pretty awful over there. So we'll get them in March, but that's moving. Have that announcement. I also have the announcement under new business that we might put on next month. Apparently, New York State has a law that, and Tammy just circulated this today, has a law that you can't park within 20 feet of a crosswalk in front of a school. Somehow New York City got around it, and we could do it here. Now, if you look at the schools in New York City and the crosswalk and the situations, there isn't really anywhere. I mean, I'm sure there's a side street school where, you know, we can have people, residential people parking at the schools. But if you look at the schools in Lower Manhattan, we don't have a scenario where people are parking, their residents are parking their cars. There had been some concern that if we, agree to, although the legislation's passed, but where we are now going to adopt the same law as New York State, forbidding people to park within 20 feet of a crosswalk in front of the school. For us, for our schools, one of the things I mentioned to Tammy is we just want to make sure and maintain drop-off space for parents who drive their kids to school. We have a nice little cut in at 234. We have Edgar Street at Trinity. We have little places where parents have been able to do that, albeit small, that we would want to make sure and maintain for our families. But other than that, I think it's really going to hurt the food trucks more than anyone else, because they're the ones who are parking in those places in most of our schools downtown. However, it will give us all some time to think about it, whether we want to weigh in on it or not. I think it's a done deal, although I just looked at it today and I haven't had time kind of to see where the legislation is. But basically, if you hear it, that's what we have on it so far. Rosa?
So right now my son's at Spruce
Mhm.
and, I have noticed that there is a location there, set aside for school bus drop off and pickup.
Yeah.
That space is always, literally every day, full of private vehicles.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's placard. I know once I saw a sign in the window that said, I'm the doorman at the building next door. Please just come find me instead of tow me. It's literally like, there's never space. And because of all the narrowness of the streets down there, the
Mhm.
construction work going on at pace, that's going to be going on for a few more years yet. The school bus, just to drop off the students and pick up the students, essentially stops all traffic movement on the street.
In the middle of the
And
street,
because private empty cars are in the drop-off area.
right?
And, that's a times a day event. So I guess my point is, if we can't even deal with the spaces that are theoretically protected now
I know.
and enforce it, then it comes down to enforcement, because it's not that the space is necessarily not there, it's that it's not being respected as space that's meant for school
Well,
utilization.
my hope is that very thing, is that if they make a big, big signage, red, yellow, and the
Yeah.
painted thing, that will discourage the placard parking, which is, my
It's a
response.
sign.
My response to Tammy was, we'll take it up, but then we're gonna also need to take up the fact that the Department of Buildings has 3/4 of the residential parking spaces in Tribeca in the Civic Center.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, we have the placards, because that's really who's in those parking places. I know at 289, that same drop-off space is
Yeah.
full of placard parking. So I think this is a great opportunity to get rid of the placards. And so I'm kind of in favor of it because I think we can, kill large birds with one stone on this one. If we are strategic and we make sure so I do think we should, have a more vibrant discussion when everybody's here next month.
Are you talking about Spruce Street or Beekman Street?
All of the streets.
No, I'm talking about the street.
The one that's on the north.
That would be, Spruce.
Yeah.
Where you come around on from,
The one
Park
that's
Road.
like between Pace University, which
Yeah.
is the northern neighbor, and then Spruce Street
The one
School,
with
which is
Brooklyn
the
Chinatown.
southern neighbor.
Brooklyn Chowtown.
Is the,
Yeah, it is. I live down.
We have a copy to look at that or?
That's the other, that's the one where the, construction.
I'll see if I
Yeah,
can.
from Pace, yeah.
Yeah, the other one goes towards.
Yeah,
You might be able to do that.
Beekman
as
Street
plans.
goes towards City Hall.
So
has
it's,
the law been passed?
So it sounds like it's already a done deal and what
Yeah.
Tammy sent me today.
yeah,
But she said, did you know about this? Do you want to weigh in on it? We can weigh in on it.
Yeah.
Well, my feeling is if it is a done deal.
Yeah.
I think it would be great to clarify it, to just,
But it's a state law.
it's a state law that they're making a city law.
Who's making this? Because the rules and regulations guide the city.
The rules and regulations of the state on this particular item did not, because the city pushed back on it, saying that,
Right, they don't want it.
yeah, well, there was a comment today about how teachers would be affected. I mean, what teacher is driving up to a school and parking within 20 feet of the crosswalk of the school? I don't know.
I mean, unless there's a sign there.
Yeah, here's how it goes. In some schools, the parking in front of the schools are restricted to DOE
Right.
employees.
Right, there
And,
would be a sign.
yeah, and there's a sign. I can think of, I don't know if PS 130, the school, just north of
In
Canal.
Chinatown? Uh-huh.
In Chinatown, is that, if that's in CB1
It is.
or, okay.
That's CB1.
Yeah, so there's actually down the block from their legal metered parking. Park there sometimes when I go to my office, but not on the block where the school is. It's all, restricted to, the DOE employees. The only, people who this is gonna matter to are people who might want to park there and leave their car. Because the reality is that people who come and drop off, pick up, stay in the car, and they park by hydrants, they park by
Right.
no parking, no standing, whatever. And, everybody says, okay.
But you can do that for 20 minutes.
Okay, well, you're the expert.
You're allowed to double park or park where you're not supposed to for 20 minutes if you're doing something.
Right.
Sitting in the car, not necessarily doing something, but after that 20 minutes, hypothetically, something has to.
We aren't gonna be able to prevent that attended
I mean,
car.
it's not prevented now.
Yeah, this is really all about parking the car, getting out of it and leaving.
Yeah,
This law that, I guess New York got out of the state law by providing some data at some point that made them exempt. And what this is about is reinstating it. So it's a great opportunity for us to clarify that school employees will need to use that space.
Yeah.
And that they should be an exception, as well as, dropping off with buses,
yeah.
disabilities, because there is a bus that comes for the kids that are in wheelchairs. They could have a safer space than they have right now. So if we play our cards right, we could really work this in our favor. Because all of those uses are also short-term. But it would be nice to give them back the space they thought they were gonna have. And drop off area, because it's actually not safe for the school buses to stop in the middle of the street and let the kids off.
Yeah, and the kids have
mean,
to
I'd like
get
to
between the
see
parked cars to get to the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
And some of them might not be parked, they might not be in park.
Right.
They might have person in them that suddenly just
Yeah.
puts, this is what happened in Millennium.
It's really gonna come down to enforcement.
Yeah.
Of
Exactly.
Yeah,
if it's a state law, but still the rules and regulations preempted, it's gonna be up to any walking officer.
well, it's gonna be the same person that's going around ticketing everybody
Yeah,
else on the
just the point of
street,
being
so.
ticketed.
So it probably won't be all that consistent,
Yeah.
Although we do a pretty good job of giving out parking tickets on all the side streets in our neighborhoods.
The battery park they do.
They're $90 too.
They're all the time giving out tickets.
Do we know if this is like a street safety push? So it's like daylighting? Is it like, because if there is, then the vast majority of exceptions related to like parking the vehicle and leaving it there aren't gonna be particularly helpful. Like, I could see temporary exceptions, but like for vehicles that are either attended or
Mhm.
are, the bus is stopping to let off kids kind of thing. But if, you can still park in that.
It
space,
is
then
pedestrian,
what's the purpose,
The purpose is pedestrian safety.
right? Okay.
It sounds
For
like,
kids.
now that I'm looking at this
Yeah.
again, it is not a totally done deal.
Okay.
Is it vehicle traffic or?
It is, let me just keep reading here, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
It's gonna make it easier for drivers of passing vehicles to be able to see pedestrians.
Yeah.
In this
Good.
case, young children without parked cars obstructing the view. It would apply to those that house classes up to 5th grade only. Parents in the school, blah, 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 blah. Daylighting is indeed what they call it, Rosa. No, it's a concept known by pedestrian safety advocates as daylighting. And New York City currently has a carve-out that allows it to set its own rules for parking, standing, stopping, and backing up of vehicles. This would override that. And,
Makes a lot of sense, just
Yeah.
because kids, the younger kids in the younger grades, they're smaller, they're shorter, and they're less visible.
exactly.
It's exactly, yeah, I could totally see.
So she apparently Kathy Hogle apparently had a state of the state address at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah.
And mentioned it. So that's what we've got. Yeah. So it's just an opportunity for us. What you can do is wait and even pass a resolution next month. We felt like we wanted to make sure to protect the people that will need access to that space. But it could be great. It could just get rid of all of this government parking once and for all and the abuse by other.
Only if it has teeth and enforcement.
Yeah, it has to have teeth. I mean, we really, if I could gain the strength to do it again, because we've tried it once, but we have a better circumstance now in terms of a lot of other things that are not going on. It was hard for us to get the traction on the placard parking at the time because we had 2 schools in construction hoping to open. So now we're in a great
Yeah, this is,
situation.
I'm reading the Gothamist on this, and it says, but New York City has a carve out that allows it to set its own rules. Those are the
Yes.
city rules and regulations. So unless you change that,
Right,
it's gonna be for naught, and that's a city, not a state.
right.
Because when the VTL applies, it applies statewide, but if there's New York rules and regulations that supersede or comes similar to it, then it takes over.
Yeah. All right, so we'll be exploring that more. I'd just love to have more committee members here. So the other thing we have tonight to do is just to look at our schools and just make sure the address is right.
I think what I need, according to Tammy, is I was able to go into 311 data and I picked up all the schools. So what she would like you to do is obviously omit the ones that are not in our district. I can do it, but I didn't want to touch it. In addition, make sure that the principals and their contact information is correct, if you know it is.
So we had already gone over this. I already sent this to Tammy. I've sent her all the,
Can you send it to me then, because obviously she seems to.
I think everybody was on it, but let me just pull it up. Because Lisa Rippinger hasn't been here and
Correct, and she wanted to make sure that
where did you print this from? I'm
Um,
just
it's
curious.
the data, Board of Education's data,
So they still have her as principal
that's what they.
on the DOE website. I
Good.
don't even know what to say to that. Oh my God, I'll just not say anything.
So that's why she said, to please update those that know who actually is there, as
Okay,
opposed to depending on them.
Do you by any chance have another hard copy?
I can give you that copy, but I send everybody the link
did,
when
okay.
I.
I mean, I can tell you that,
And it's easy.
So
to just-
you sent it, right? Not Zach, right?
No, I did,
Yeah.
and
I've already seen this thing before.
okay, so
And
you
it's-
send me what you have.
So 101, highlighting those works,
Okay,
because at least they got the district correct.
well, I did that, that was the only thing that I.
Oh, okay, because what these are community boards. So 101 is 1, 102 is community board 2, except they've got 130 in CB2. You know, we fight over that school. The DOE told us it was in hours, but that was when they were trying to get some of our kids to go there when they were overcrowded. I have a feeling it might be CB2, but we've always believed it was CB1 because of the sales pitch. So it would be good to get clear on that. They do have it listed as 2. It was a little too far for our kids to go because they were waitlisted at 234 and they wanted to send them to 130 and they weren't giving them any transportation.
Yeah.
So it was tricky. So, so what I can say is they've gotten it right in terms of what schools where. All of these are legitimate schools that are in our CB here. 55 Battery Place. Are you M094 at Trinity? That's not right.
I don't know, actually.
You sent it by email?
Like, send it right
Oh,
now.
wait, that's Battery Place. I don't even know.
I know I
what
got
school
it, but I looked
Would you
at
like me
it.
to resend it right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know what MS 094 is. It's 55. I mean, maybe that's 276. Because I don't see
55 battery place, that's.
It's 276. Oh my goodness, this is really, all right. Well, I sent all this information, at least to our,
I'm actually, I can't open the link. It says the Google Doc doesn't exist.
And I was able to open it, but I wasn't sure exactly what we were
Oh,
supposed
I
to do
can't
with it.
speak to the charter schools.
What?
55 battery replaces 2 sentences.
Yeah.
M094.
It might be middle school 94, it's a K to 8.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. But I'm just looking at this, guys, everything else is, Millennium High School, Leadership and Public Service High School, Stuyvesant High School, High School of Economics and Finance. So many people here aren't even aware how many of these,
Yeah.
trade high schools we have down here. We have a lot. The charter schools are thrown in here and they really shouldn't be in our list. So I'm just gonna
Right.
zap that. But everything else checks out in terms of what they are. And these are just really outdated.
I found it. You don't have to send it again.
Yeah.
Okay, LMC still has Kelly McGuire. I mean, this is really pretty sad. I don't even know what to say. But I did send the list of the updated.
I got it. I found it from
Oh,
earlier.
okay, I already sent. If you get a chance, Tricia, you can send me that and I'll coordinate, combine them together.
Okay, I'll do
Thank
that.
you.
But we've already done that and they're also on the websites. So I'm really confused as to how this is on a DOE website right now. We've got Kelly McGuire, who hasn't been in LMC forever.
He's our superintendent.
Yeah, so he's now D2 superintendent. So this is kind of a mess. I'm not even gonna weigh in on the rest of them. Let's just,
Speaking of Kelly, I ran into Kelly, at my son's school at, PS 33. And I asked him whether he'd like to appear at some point before our committee, to go.
who, Kelly?
Kelly
He
McGuire.
comes often.
No, I know, but soon, I mean, in the next couple of months, to talk about the progress of the literacy curriculum.
Uh-huh.
So he said he'd be happy to do.
Okay,
So
good.
we just need to invite him and work out a time.
We usually do it mid-semester, so like March would be great, yeah.
Okay.
Because it just gives him some time to,
Are the actual dates of the, I mean, Tammy said something about that dates are on, the dates of the committee meetings are set 2 or 3 months in advance.
I think we've got our March date now, don't we?
We have regular dates unless there's a holiday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then it's always like the first whatever or the second whatever.
Maybe the March thing, I can.
Yeah, one would be the March thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd be willing to come in March, give him plenty of lead-in time and any issues that he wants to discuss about it that we could help with.
That would be great, Lauren, if you want to coordinate
Yeah,
that.
he came down to the school to talk about how we were implementing it and what we thought of the principal and since my wife is the head of the PTA there now, or co-president of PTA, he wanted to speak to the PTA leaders.
Okay,
March 11th.
March 11th.
Okay, excellent. I'll circulate, I'll copy you and Tammy and Lucy and Zach and everybody, so everybody knows about it.
Those emails I get on that.
Okay, great. And I can't pull it up on my phone, but I'll get it. We have a list of all the principals and assistant principals
Appreciate it.
downtown. But we did not do it for all of these high schools. While these high schools are in our jurisdiction, we've never really been active, to be honest. I mean, it's just important to say. Millennium we have, because Millennium, the community board actually got that school built. And that was a school that used to have priority for Lower Manhattan residents, which is why we're deeply connected to that school. But the other schools, and Stuyvesant, but the other schools like High School of Economic and Finance, Richard Green, Urban Assembly, and so the Maker Academy, we've never really been connected with them. And there's something to be said for talking about that and deciding whether we should be more
We have
connected
all
with
the
them.
connections with Mary Bertram High School and Urban Assembly and the schools that are in there because they're literally across the street from Gotham Park, so we can do that.
So as,
Super easy.
yeah, but I mean, should we be also, helping them as a youth committee for any of their issues that they could use liaising with, city agencies, use some
Yes.
support like the SCA, we give support to our other schools.
Yes.
I think that's where her goal is to try to reach out to the schools that we have, that you have not reached out to, see the system.
Right, I mean, the thing about those schools is that we have such a low representation of kids in the neighborhood who go there, that's the decision that, you know, we've never done that as a community board, we've focused on
Yeah.
the kids and where the kids are in school. But we could really just make a decision to do that, and loop them in. And, you know, we can talk to Tammy more about that, because it would be something different that we haven't done before here.
Yeah. I think it would be awesome to loop them in and to advocate for them.
Yeah, I agree. So in terms of those contacts, the most reliable contacts, it looks like, Lucy, are going to be on their websites. And they're listed on all the websites, the principal and the assistant principal. DOE should be doing that and translating it onto their own data. So we could actually talk to Kelly about that.
Yeah, I was thinking Kelly should be able to help us.
Yeah,
with that.
because it should be readily available data in a list form like this for community boards. It's much easier than going to each of the websites to get the information. So
Yeah.
it couldn't hurt to,
Well, that's why actually on Edge Help, we pulled it off open data, so it's obviously.
Like, it's crazy, PS 150 has Jennifer Benet
Yeah.
still listed as, but it's been Nico for like,
I want to say this is about 10 years old. That's wild.
yeah.
And Nico, Aaron's in fourth grade now. He was Nico when he was in kindergarten, so.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so yeah, I'll act on those two things during this next month. And talk to Tammy about the high schools. All right, great. Anybody have new business other than that?
I do.
Okay.
Yesterday we had a fun conversation, the, Independent Budget Office came
Uh-huh.
by. And I thought immediately of a subject that is near and dear to your heart, which is the SCA. And having budget review and understanding of the SCA's budget and how they, address capital projects related, given, you know, a lot of meetings that we've had here. And so I was thinking that we could invite their SCA expert to come and maybe shed some light
From the
on,
IBO?
yeah. What do you think? It's
Like what?
only if you're interested.
Would they come?
Hmm?
Would they come?
Yesterday, they were,
Don't know, would they come here? We wanna invite them here, right?
yeah.
I would
You
love
met.
to invite them here if they'll come. I mean,
They will come.
we've invited the SCA before to come on this issue and they have turned us down.
Of course.
Which is why our next step actually was to work with the controller to do an audit.
Yes,
So-
I know.
So if the IBO is willing to come,
They are.
then Rosa, I give that a big thumbs up.
Okay, so I thought you might like that, so
Yeah.
I immediately started asking about SCA and they seem to have different team members that are attached to different sort of agencies.
Right, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay, great. I'm so in favor of that. I've got questions already in my head lined up. I think most of all, it's like, you know, when it comes to building, why is it more expensive and take longer? And the only answer we've ever been given by the SCA is that it's because of the codes necessary for safety of children. And then they've gone on to approve schools like LMC where, you know, the stairwell is 22 inches wide. You know, no, that was the craziest building. It still is the craziest building. And they've let the elevators go broken for several years until finally I had video of an elevator door open with the cab halfway between the first and second floor with children screaming. So that finally got the attention when I had that video to get those elevators rebalanced. But so I've never got an answer to that question. If it's school safety and it's code that makes this more expensive and makes it take longer, then why do we have the situations we do in some of the schools that have been built in office buildings? And I think we need to resolve this. We can't keep spending what we're spending on building schools because we're gonna run out of money.
Especially with no, actual communication between the SCA designers and the end users, which are the actual schools themselves.
We made headway on that on Harbor School.
Yeah.
I want to give credit where credit's due. Andrea Bender and Josh,
Yeah.
two of them, when it came to the Harbor School renovation, really bent further than I've ever seen the SCA bend in terms of communication. Even with that, we lost some communication towards the end, and they ended up putting the equipment room, which houses the, the diving equipment, which is, you've seen it before, right? Like the mask, the tanks. So they put it on the second floor at the end of a hall. And the only access out is to go all the way down the hall, around the corner, and into a tiny passenger elevator. And so stuff like that, there should have been either a lift or an elevator right at the corner of the building where the equipment room is. That elevator is going to be trashed. I will be moved on by then, but you guys will remember it when I say, let's take a look at the Harbor School elevator in 5 years.
I'm gonna
Remember
say
me.
that their intention was to make sure that the students had enough cardio and muscular strength to be good divers, and so this.
It is at the furthest location from
Yeah.
a stairwell or an elevator on the second floor, not the first. And because it always has to be moved into trucks to go wherever they're going. It has to be, you know what I mean, into vans. So here it is, right? We did everything right. And at the end, they changed that up. And we were like, oh, and they made the boys' bathroom larger than the girls.
I'm personally offended.
I mean, haven't people learned this by now? I still go into stadiums and concert halls just mystified. But, that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, we had the ability to prevent those two things. And still in the end, they switched it up at the end and there we were. And the principal did not want to push it. I want to go on the record and say, everybody was satisfied. In the end, we would have continued advocating, but they were very happy with it. The building's beautiful. I can't wait to show you guys the slides. It's absolutely stunning. So, yeah, we'll be looking forward to that probably March as well. And so Morton's going to talk directly to Kelly. You're going to schedule him. And Rosa, you're willing to schedule
I'm
the
gonna
IDO?
forward you the contact.
Or you can
for,
forward it to me and I'll do it. All right.
Alrighty.
Nice seeing everybody. Missed everybody
Stay
else.
warm.
You can chop us off. Bye, everybody.
Sally gave me this
Maybe
email.
turn-
Hi, Cody.
In schools.nyc.com. That's bad.
Hi, Cody.
Bye. Good night.
How are you liking those?